Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of AWM Insights. We're going to have a little, hopefully a little bit of fun, at least for two CFAs, a little bit of fun, calling this a hot take episode. Really just focus on some lessons learned over the last, let's call it week since last episode around properly storing your 100-year family operating system, which we like to talk about quite a bit here. So, like I said, kind of a little bit of a round trip from last week's episode. We're in this world where things are changing incredibly quickly, both for the good and bad. Headlines are kind of whipsawing folks around, and probably generating lots of questions. So hopefully you come to this podcast to get that peace of mind and really orient back to that 100-year journey. Certainly, if there are any specific questions on current events, definitely reach out. We love talking about them. So, going around the horn, so to speak, or bringing it back to the last episode we talked about, there was a lot of noise. There's been a lot of noise over the last 6 months, 7 days in the world. And to a large extent, it's causing distraction from that long-term 100-year family operating system, multi-generational wealth focus. You pick your word that you want to use, right? We are long-term investors. All of you listening are long-term investors. And while these news items are certainly of great importance for us as a society, for the world as a whole, etc., it is a little bit of a long-term distraction from an investment perspective. So, Mena, I'd love for you to walk us through kind of top to bottom. Why is the noise? Why am I saying this is noise? Why am I saying this is a distraction? Why should people tune this out?
Yeah, and people should tune this out because of exactly what you said. We are long-term investors and we are investing for 100+ years. It's actually interesting. A lot of people have coined the conflict in the Middle East as the 12-day war. So you can't let 12 days or a period of time, one conflict in a region, affect what you're going to do over potentially more than 100 years. So these things will happen. I can make a guarantee that they will continue to happen, and you just have to be resilient. I believe we've given this example before, but if you're shooting a free throw, you're at the free throw line in a packed arena, people are yelling at you, you cannot be affected by the noise. You have to just continue to operate, to play your game, to do your function. And that's really how you can actually achieve success instead of getting distracted by, a fan waving something behind or yelling something at you. So maybe this is a little bit of we told you so. It's happened a lot faster than I would say I would have expected, but it is about being consistent and focusing on the target, which is being a proper steward to your family operating system for an extended period of time.
Yeah, right. You got to have the ice in your veins, so to speak. And I want to kind of pivot this to another, let's call it pillar that we talk about. Pillar might be a strong word, but right, this in a way is positive, or not positive, might be a kind of stretch it just might be a stretch, but it's expected, right? We say you expect higher returns from investing in the stock market because of events like we've seen a lot of them so far this year, but certainly over the last couple of days, right? There's a spike in conflict, a potential large-scale war that was budding in the Middle East. It's been tamped down quite a bit today, and hopefully it stays that way. But right, these things, you can't expect them or predict them ahead of time, but these events are why we expect to have a higher return by holding stocks predominantly, right? So walk us through that general framework.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because by being disciplined in the stock market, you're actually performing better than most people out there. By avoiding that noise, by staying on plan, you're doing something that most people actually can't do. And a lot of people choose not to even be burdened with that risk or that noise, and they totally exclude risk from their portfolio. So just like our clients, a lot of them have achieved success through hard work, through discipline, through just outworking people. Ultimately, investing has a very similar parallel where if you do stay invested, if you do stay on plan, if you ride these waves, there's obviously sacrifices at times, but there's a recovery that comes in the back end. If you're able to actually do that, you're rewarded with those excess returns that we've talked about, and that's your benefit for the turbulence that you're certainly going to experience.
Right. And you know, when you say that, referencing various studies out there that say, hey, what do the average investors actually earn? And it's quite low, to your point, because either you're not comfortable taking risk and you're just keeping your money in cash, which doesn't keep up with inflation, doesn't grow enough for most individuals, or you're investing in the market and letting the behavioral side get the better of you. So you're selling at lows, you're buying at highs, and just kind of constantly playing this cat and mouse game, chasing your tail, again, whatever you want to say there. So the discipline side of things is right. You're totally spot on. The parallels between becoming a successful athlete, becoming a successful executive, the mental game, we talk a ton about our friend Brian Kane, right? The discipline around mental performance is so applicable to long-term investing. And so, you know, along those lines, we like to say, hey, focus on winning a championship, not just scoring a bunch of individual points in any one game, right? That's true in the sport you're playing. It's also true in investing. Unpack that statement.
Yeah, and it's about shifting your focus from maybe a building block concept, obviously scoring wins games, that's how you win, to just a bigger picture item, which is winning, being more, call it just outcome focused, even though the process needs to be super, super important and stressed on. But I was looking at this and I thought it was super interesting. Like, the Chiefs scored 51 points in a game and lost. There have been 2 MLB teams that have scored 20 plus runs, which, you know, that's a crazy amount of runs, and they've still lost. So changing your focus and actually building a plan around winning instead of just scoring is really necessary to get to that ultimate goal of winning games and ultimately winning a championship. If we think about investing, we want to win a championship. We want to deliver performance that's pretty much better than everyone else, and that also achieves our goals and helps us achieve our priorities. So really looking at things that way is looking at winning games, winning championships, instead of just scoring runs and focusing on shorter term trends and results.
Yeah. And again, going back to the wise Brian Kane, he always says, focus on process over outcome. If you do that, the outcomes will kind of take care of themselves. Again, no different when it comes to investing, and certainly when it comes to focusing on building generational wealth, the 100-year family operating system, where there are going to be distractions, there are going to be ups and downs, but process over outcome trumps everything. Control what you can control trumps everything. We can't control what happens in the Middle East. We can't control how we react to that. And we can control how we manage our human capital, right? You might be a young athlete, a young entrepreneur, et cetera, where your human capital, the value of your human capital is exceptionally large, and you're going to get the best return from that over the entirety of your life. You need to then harvest that return into financial capital, and we will store it for you to then support this continuous cycle of the 100-year operating system, right? Of this idea of generational wealth, where we want to optimize all these pools of capital, whether it be financial, social, physical, et cetera, to continue to generate returns in various ways to support your priorities, right? If we think about each one of those and optimize them and really care for them in this stewardship mindset, focus on that process, you will be successful over the long term. So that one's not so much of a hot take. Hopefully it's a great reminder though of why we're here, what we're continuously focused on to support everyone here. And again, if you have questions around what's going on in the market, going on in the world today, and want our quick take, definitely reach out. We always like addressing immediate questions on the top of everyone's mind. But with that, until next time, own your wealth, make an impact, and always be a pro.